swimwear line.
We'll see you right back here next time.
Weather Watch 4 and live pinpoint Doppler 4, Pittsburgh's 24-hour weather leader.
Live pinpoint Doppler 4 radar is now tracking severe weather.
Count on Pittsburgh's most powerful live Doppler radar.
Live pinpoint Doppler 4 showing cloud-to-ground lightning strikes right now.
Tracks extreme weather from 300 miles away right to your front door.
See this band of storms? This is the one that will cause all the problems tomorrow with flash flooding.
Pittsburgh's largest, most experienced team of local meteorologists.
New storm is brewing in Ohio. I'll be tracking this line overnight as it moves. Watch for high winds, lightning, and flooding rain.
Working around the clock 24 hours a day to warn you first.
Don't worry, we'll continue to track this storm all night and bring you the latest
This storm will put down a lot of rain and cause flash flooding.
Tornado Weather Watch 4 and live pinpoint Doppler 4. Always on 24 hours, 7 days a week. Working to protect your family.
If you go out tonight, exercise caution, especially in low-lying areas.
I think this is a great time to go into the nursing profession.
Nursing offers many opportunities to change and grow.
You can work med-surg, you can work labor and delivery.
Rehab nursing,
operating rooms, the critical care, the intensive care areas.
There's a position for everybody.
that same degree of nursing you can take with you and use it throughout your life.
Feel the rush.
Ty and Clinton Secrets and Inside Michael's What Closet next, ET.
Today on the Chris Matthews Show, Boss Tube, a political cloud of TV. From checkers to Dukakis in the tank, what you see decides who you get. Plus, you can run, but you can't hide. The X-ray power of television to show what the politician tries to hide. Himself. All that and more on today's show. Boss Tube. Nixon used TV to save his life. Bush Sr. demolished his opponent with a tank. What will be this Bush's weapon? Character X-ray. Caught off guard, TV can show you naked. Will 8 months of airtime expose a Bush or a Kerry we didn't know? Where are we headed? Riots in Chicago. Hostages in Iran. Hell in Vietnam. Will chaos in Iraq or unemployment lines be this year's election video? All that and more with a camera-ready roundtable on your weekly news show.
From Congress to the West Wing, he's been a Washington insider. Now he's one of the Capitol's top journalists, Chris Matthews.
Hi, I'm Chris Matthews. Welcome to the show. Let's go inside. Caddy K covers Washington for the British Broadcasting Corporation. Sam Donaldson is a longtime ABC News correspondent. Andrea Mitchell has covered many campaigns for NBC. And David Brooks is a columnist for the New York Times. First up, Boss Tube. For over half a century, the big-time politicians have used TV as a big brother. Young Richard Nixon was a master at it. In 1952, Dwight Eisenhower tried to dump Nixon from his ticket because of a back-home political fund. But Nixon risked all by going on primetime TV to ask the American people if they were with him. 60 million people tuned in, the largest TV audience ever up until that time. Let's take a look.
I come before you tonight as a candidate for the vice presidency, and as a man whose honesty and integrity has been questioned. I am submitting to the Republican National Committee tonight through this television broadcast the decision which it is theirs to make. Let them decide whether my position on the ticket will help or hurt. And I'm going to ask you to help them decide. Wire and write the Republican National Committee whether you think I should stay on or whether I should get off. And whatever their decision is, I will abide by it.
Well, that was the first time a politician, Sam, went over the heads of the journalists, right to the people, and scored a bullseye.
Absolutely shrewd Nixon. He knew that Eisenhower wanted him off the ticket. So he said, my wife has a cloth coat, I have a little dog Checkers. Then he had to close the deal for public opinion. And he shrewdly said, if they write to Eisenhower, Ike can do what he wants. If they write to the Republican National Committee, Ike will have to accept it. And the story is that Eisenhower was watching that broadcast. He had a pencil in his hand, And the moment Nixon said that, what you just heard, Ike snapped the pencil. He knew he'd been outmaneuvered.
He also told the candidates on both sides, Adlai Stevenson and the Republicans on the Republican side, they had to release all their financial information. And Ike didn't want to leave any information about his famous book. Andrea, it's called Positioning. Nixon comes out, he said, I'm not one of these big-shot politicians. I'm a regular guy like you.
And by doing that, and by invoking Checkers and the cloth coat, he creates his own image and gets out in front of the story and creates something that can't be denied.
30-year political career there.
One of the effects of TV, George Washington was a guy much loftier than the American people. But in the TV age, you have to be basically like the American people. They have to sense that you share their values. So it sort of brings people down into regular people.
And they're still doing it. You're going to see how interesting how Bush and Kerry, who tries to be the regular guy, which of these guys from Yale and St. Paul's. Let's take a look at Ronald Reagan positioning himself as a national MC. Here he is leveling President Jimmy Carter.
These are the kind of elements of a national health insurance important to the American people. Governor Reagan, again, typically is against such a proposal.
Governor?
There you go again.
Andrea, killer.
Killer. And, 4 years later in the debate against Walter Mondale, when the whole age issue was a big question, he inoculated against that by saying that he wasn't going to try to take advantage of Walter Mondale, of his youth and inexperience.
And
it was another moment in another debate, and Reagan showing that he was a master of that kind of moment.
Andrew, that's correct. Watch that. Listen to him say that, and then watch what he does. Reagan picks up a glass of water as Mondale is among those who laugh and sips it. The victor.
Right. I want Caddy to respond to this one. Another debate execution. Here it comes. A newspaper can quote you, but TV captures you right in the act. Watch now in the 1988 vice presidential debate, a well-prepped clubman, Lloyd Bentsen of Texas, demolishes an unsuspecting Dan Quayle.
I have as much experience in the Congress as Jack Kennedy did when he sought the presidency.
I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
That was the most painful moment watching it.
Absolutely painful moment. And look at Quayle's face as he realizes exactly what's happening to him. He stays straight ahead. He doesn't even engage Bentsen. He can't do because he knows he's just been defeated.
He's been vaporized.
Quayle says that was a low blow, and Bentsen says, you raised the subject, Senator. I didn't. Oh.
It was completely scripted, by the way.
Tell us about it.
They had watched him saying this on the campaign, and the preppers for Lloyd Bentsen in that debate gave him the line. He practiced the line. He waited. He used it, and he used it in a way that seemed unscripted. It was perfect.
And that's timing, isn't it? Some people, I think, some politicians on television have natural timing. If you don't, you can have the lines, but if you don't have the timing on television, it can fall flat.
It also shows how visceral politics is. It's just like the alpha males. It's the two gray-backed gorillas going up against each other. It hasn't really changed.
Yeah, but it's changed because of television. See, that's what we're talking about. In the old days, I wasn't there when Lincoln and Douglas debated. Who knows? We read it.
Where were you?
I was prepping to cover the presidency. We read it. But today, it's the body language. I'll go to my grave convinced that if Al Gore had shown up for those 3 debates, come across as a nice
we're
guy,
getting to that. We're going to get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the prefab stuff they do for the TV ads, because these ads are getting really good on the campaigns for president. TV ads can also be the executioner. 1 month before the 1988 election, Michael Dukakis still had a chance in the polls against the senior George Bush, but not after Bush and his people used this spot to dwarf Dukakis into Rocky the Squirrel.
Dukakis opposed the stealth bomber and a ground emergency warning system against nuclear attack. He even criticized our rescue mission to Grenada and our strike on Libya. And now he wants to be our commander-in-chief. America can't afford that risk.
That just looked like rocket. Has that got an international quality, Caddy? You may not have seen that before. Isn't that a funny picture?
I have seen that before. And the thing is, just to shoot, to go for the image that suits you. Don't try and put yourself in a position in television in which not your natural surroundings, because as it has this X-ray quality, it's going to show you for what you are, and Dukakis couldn't.
What do you look like to you?
He looked like somebody playing, being a tank driver. He looked like a kid.
I was
the problem.
I was there.
On the software camera.
Right.
I was there that day, and as he approached the stands, and we're all catcalling. Hey, General Patton. Reporters are this way.
Did you know he was killing himself, or what did he think he was doing?
He thought he was showing he was strong in defense.
And the awful thing was, Sam was covering him that day. We were watching from Washington, And he actually had given a defense speech in Chicago earlier before going to the tank. And
Going in the tank.
And we all thought the story of the day was going to be Michael Dukakis giving a very reasoned, tough defense speech. But instead, obviously, it was the image. I was with the late Lee Atwater, who saw that image and picked up the phone, and they put the ad together.
David, is this fair to take a picture of what a guy looks like? Basically, it's a caricature made by the candidate himself.
It's sort of fair. You got to have big shoulders and a big head to run for president. You got to have big head, big star is what they say in Hollywood, and that's true. That was Wes Clark's problem, by the way. Too small a head.
No, but only it really believes that, by the way.
Also, the audience knew what Dukakis was trying to do there, and that's part of the problem, is that the audience is sitting there knowing that this guy is trying to look presidential, and he's not pulling it off. And so,
but a lot of people can get away with it.
Who could have gotten away with this?
Ronald Reagan, let me just tell you something. He had a terrible environmental record. He really did. He ran for re-election. They took him out to Roosevelt Island. He made a wonderful speech in front of the statue of Teddy Roosevelt, the great environmentalist. Hey, there he is, two great environmentalists together.
Or George Herbert Walker Bush in Boston Harbor, again in '88. Standing in front of Boston Harbor looked terrific, and whether or not they had a good environmental record didn't matter. The picture told the story.
Just days before the 1992 New Hampshire primary, Bill Clinton was hit by claims of draft dodging. On election night, he used the national TV coverage to spin a distant second into a victory.
While the evening is young, and we don't know yet what the final tally will be, I think we know enough to say with some certainty that New Hampshire tonight has made Bill Clinton the comeback kid.
Isn't it amazing? He was 8 points behind Paul Tsongas, and he declared himself the winner, and everybody bought it.
He wrote his own headline, and he came out early, declared himself the winner, and when you think about what they had just gone through in that month, they'd gone through the draft controversies, Jennifer Flowers, everything that had come and hit this candidate, and he came out, declared himself a winner, and that's what stuck.
I'll tell you, the next morning, Paul Tsongas, who won the New Hampshire primary, walked into GMA headquarters. I was giving a talk to them. I was giving some remarks, and he walks in, and he looked like he had just lost. And then Bill Clinton came in with 8 staffers behind him, grabbing all the donuts and having the time of his life. And it's all mind control, isn't it? Clinton, he's unbelievable.
I mean, primaries are partly about expectations anyway. It's a bit like a stock market. If your company comes in below earnings or below expectations or above expectations, even if you haven't done very well, then you're going to grab the headlines.
Spin.
It's about spin and about the way you deliver the spin.
I think Clinton taught us some things. We learned a lot today about positioning from Dick Nixon. I'll be right back with more time capsules. This time, they didn't want to be caught this time. Caught in the act, how television shows it like it is. Stick around.
Today's show is brought to you by Infinity, makers of the full-size QX56.
The 260 horsepower Infinity G35, one of Car and Driver's 10 best for 2 years running. A dream to drive, the Infinity G35.
Ask your doctor if Lipitor is right for you.
Ready, nimble, quick, now. Productive, proactive, collected, connected. Responding to change. In the air, everywhere. Swift, in sync, in step, as one. Before noon, before 6, before the other guy. In other words, on to